Well, hello. I thought that was the shorter version, so I'm sorry. It was 1minute and 26 seconds. Try to keep it a little bit shorter than that next time.
Happy Tuesday.
Good Tuesday to you, sir. Everything going good?
Everything's going good. Back at it.
You had your conference last week?
Yeah, I had convention last week.
So what is your big takeaway? I know what mine would be, but I want to hear what yours was. What's your big takeaways, the things you really, really enjoyed at the Manitoba Beekeeper? 119th Manitoba Beekeeper
119th annual, yes. Yes.
No breaks at all, not even for COVID or anything? Still 119?
We had a couple of we had 2020, we had an in-person convention, and then all the shutdowns happened immediately afterward.
Okay.
2021 we just held an AGM on Zoom on 2021, so we didn't have a full-fledged. What we did though is we had a number of guest speakers throughout the month in February on 2021. And it seems to me we had a Zoom AGM in 22 as well, but can't remember.
And then 23, this Bob came down. But 2024 had this other guy named Bob there.
24 was this Bob.
Was here, that's right. And then 25 this year.
2 Bobs in a row. Right?
Bob, you almost OD'd on Bobs.
Well, I don't know. But well, I mean, obviously, I can't overstate how nice it was. I actually spent a lot of time with Bob Binney over the last few days, Wednesday to Saturday, and got to know him a bit. And boy, is he ever a gem of a man. Obviously he's a successful business person, and he's a experienced and knowledgeable beekeeper, but he's just a real treat of a person to be with. It's just so down to earth.
Even if you weren't talking bees, it'd be nice just to hang around.
Oh yeah, we actually hardly talk bees at all. but yeah, real humble guy. Just so yeah, that was a super treat for me. There was a lot of really good presenters at the convention. We had actually 4 good presentations on different aspects of queens and queen rearing and whatnot. And I feel a sneeze coming on, so I'll get ready on the mute button.
On the mute button?
Yeah. So there was a lot of really good stuff going.
That's well, obviously, I mean, when I came up and hanging out with you was the highlight, right? You and Ian was the highlight. He hurt his ribs sneezing. You were on time with that mute button too. I didn't even. I kind of looked away and I came back and it was muted, and you were like, "Oh, that hurt so bad."
My back hurts so bad when I sneeze while I'm sitting here. My back hurts a lot.
And you know, uh, for me, it's the people. It doesn't matter what conference. It was
Absolutely.
especially enjoyable coming up there for me because it was more of a quaint thing for me as compared to like a knobby where there's just so
Yeah.
many people. And
Yeah.
plus, not many Canadians knew who I was, so I was like, I was just the guy there, and being able to hang out with you and Ian a bit and your families was really enjoyable. So I
So I want to mention also, you say it's it's about the people, and it really is. Um, I got to make an acquaintance of one of Bob and his friends, uh, Kevin Monfelt from South uh,
Nebraska.
South Nebraska. I looked it up, and he's almost in Oklahoma, Nebraska. He's so far south. Bee Bum Honey,
Yep,
I
for
think
Bee
that's
Bum.
what his company is. And well, he makes some really interesting products. He brought some with him, and he's a really nice guy too. Um,
That
you
um
know,
they were, I mean, the products that you showed me are really unique for a couple of different reasons. One I'd never seen before, and one was something we had been talking about with Alex over
right?
about Christmas time.
Yeah, yeah.
But we didn't have the technology or the know-how to tell him to do what he was trying to do, and
I didn't ask Kevin how
we
he
figured
does
it out.
how he extrudes that. Um, you know, you don't
So
ask too many trade secrets, right?
yeah, so not to give it away, but too much, but he sells a swirled creamed honey.
You know what? I'll
Um,
go grab it and I can show you.
yeah, that'd be good if you want to. Um, I believe it's cinnamon and plain creamed honey, but they're swirled together, kind of like a McDonald's ice cream that's half chocolate and half vanilla type situation. And my thing is, you can make both of them, but how do you make them look that way in the container? Which was one of the neat things. And I don't know if Brad's got any of the other item that he showed me, but it was something neat that is didn't seem like it would be a hard thing to recreate. Which was, and I'll wait for Brad to get back and see if he brings the other one. Um, just in case. But yeah, just a unique products, something different for the tables, that everybody sets up at their stands, and based on your local laws is going to really depend. All right.
All right. Yeah, this one's not cinnamon. It's chocolate and orange. If you ever had one of those, I think of it as a Christmas treat. It's those chocolate oranges.
Right.
That's kind of what it tastes like. It's really good. And we've been in it, so you can only see half of it now.
Only the half that's left.
So I'll show you the bottom because you can kind of see the swirl a little better. Um, so we've eaten this part, so you can see this is the swirl part.
And I asked Brad when he saw it, well, did he just like drizzle that on the jar and then fill it up with regular? He's like, no, it's all the way through.
Yeah, it's all the way
So
through. I'll open it
it's
up here.
that is a unique thing. We don't see too often.
So it kind of looks more chocolate on the top, but you can still see the swirl and the chocolate and the orange. Oh,
It's really
dude,
good. Thank you,
oh,
Robert. I appreciate you, buddy.
this stuff is just amazing, and it's a quite a firm set creamed honey. It's boy, it's a real dessert treat. Wow, this stuff is good. So
Did you finish the other little jar with the mixed nuts in it?
no,
And this is another item. Go ahead, Brad.
so what this is he makes a creamed cinnamon honey, and so this is the cinnamon honey just in liquid form, and then with mixed nuts. And
So he
so I'll
fills the jar with mixed nuts and then
show
fills the
you
jar
his.
with the honey.
his label here. I can't get it too close; it won't show you. Very nice label, nice logo, and everything. And yeah, boy, is that ever good! Oh, that's really good.
I wish I had that on my ice cream last night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be really good in ice cream. You can see. I want to tip it too much. It's not cream, so it'll run out of there.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah. Oh, smells good.
But
Uh, yeah.
it's just more creativity in the beekeeping community as far as different products and different things, right?
Oh, the sky's the limit, right? Your imagination is the only limit to what you can do.
So you and I, and I'm gonna put the link up here in a few minutes, guys. But Brad and I talked a bit last night. We talked almost every day, and we talked last evening. And Brad said, "Hey, you should do some OTS." And I was like, "Well, I've heard that term. What exactly is it?" And because I had never watched a video on it or anything, so he shared me some links to some videos and whatnot, and I found it pretty interesting, to be honest with you. Um, Even if you did it on like my big colony to generate cells that I could then cut off to make splits with, that could be a beneficial thing. Um,
It's a very good way to raise a few queens. I was using it for a few years, and the limitation that I found was it was just hard to raise a quantity, right? You can raise one or two off of a colony, and that's about it. But if you want to raise lots of queens, then you need to start grafting. But
well,
OTS is an excellent system. You get really nice queens out of it if you
Dave
do it
said
right.
he
The
does some.
problem with a lot of times people that try to cut corners on it, and then it doesn't work.
I find that my biggest issue with splits, and you made a very clear point. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it.
Yeah,
That's one of my biggest things, right? Like, how many splits do I take from this colony? How many is too much? How many resources do I steal from this colony? And that's always seems to be a challenge, right? Like right now, I've got some colonies that they don't look so nice, So it's it. My first impulse is to go out there and find a nice colony and pull a couple frames of brood and bees on it and chuck it over there, right?
yeah,
And it has been my experience in the past that typically doesn't work. There's a
yeah.
reason why that colony is the way it is, whatever
Con-
that reason is.
concentrate on the good ones.
And
Don't if you got 10 crappy colonies and 5 good ones, you can kind of mess with all of that and end up with 15 crappy colonies
right.
if that's what you want to do. But yeah, concentrate on the good ones.
Well, I mean, so prime example, I had a really nice colony and I was I I was not a proponent of doing mite washes last year, 24, right? Wasn't big on it. I'm like, I'm going to treat them anyway, right? I'm just going to treat them. And then, then the comment was brought up, well, you don't really know how effective that was. And I understand that. So I go out there and start doing mite washes, really nice colony. Oh, well, they had a very clean queen when it was done. And now that colony's empty boxes, right? There's
Yeah,
no gone. So, yeah, you can definitely destroy a colony as the beekeeper, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that hard, actually. Really,
No,
it's
it's not.
quite
It's not
easy.
hard. It's not hard. And you know, we always say, oh, boost them with a frame of brood from another colony. Yeah, yeah, that's totally normal, and it's totally reasonable action. However, you can go too far.
Well, I guess when you go out and you look at a colony and you're doing that evaluation, for me, I look at some and they're just like that one I showed you yesterday in the photo, right? It's just slam full, top and bottom, full of bees. Then you go to another single deep and it's got 2 frames of bees.
Yep.
Why? So if I start chucking bees in there, that initial colony now is getting weaker.
Yep.
And that colony probably won't make it anyway, because it's really one of the worst ones that I've got. So, but I mean, I think it's the impulse, especially backyard sideliner, maybe more backyarders. Like I consider myself a backyarder because hell, they're in my backyard. So the thing is that it's our tendency to want to save every bee, right?
It is.
It
is.
You feel like if they die, then you want to do everything you can to try to make them live. And I'm for that, but you can't do it at the detriment of another colony.
Right. And the way and I agree. That's what we all want to do, and that's what I want to do. I found a method that works, and it gets a lot of value out of that colony. So I'm going to back up a bit, and I'm going to talk about a method that Ian uses. And what basically he does in the spring is he goes through all his colonies and he'll grade them, he'll evaluate them. So he'll, when I do mine, I give them 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Right,
1 is that's probably not going to live. 2 is they'll probably live, but they're no shake, right? They're kind of puny.
right,
3 is about average, and it's graded on the average of my apiary. So the average bees in my apiary, 3 is the average. 4, that's extra special. So a 4 might end up being a breeder, right?
well, what do
So
you do when your breeder is also mean?
well,
Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna select that one. What do you mean? I don't have anything like that.
well, you don't, but
But
you've seen mine.
then the second stage of that is then you give them period of time, maybe a month. Go for them again, right? And then I see that there's a 4 that's now a 2, right?
Right,
There's a problem. I see a 2 that's still a 2. There's a problem, right? So you can see over time, are they building? Are they improving? Are they making some ground? Or are they just stagnating, or are they going backwards? So my solution for that is zombie nukes, right? So everything that doesn't make the cut uh, ends up being a zombie nuke. Half of those die, okay, but half of them start producing brood, and then I can use that for splits. I can use that for my cell builder. I can use that for my mating nukes,
right.
right? So I don't outright kill those off. And people say, why do you waste your time with that? You know, with these old colonies that are going to die anyway. Well, like I say, half of them don't die. Besides, I've got all this equipment sitting in a pile on a skid in the corner of my apiary, empty.
Right.
It might as well have bees in it. So I set them up on pallets at the end of the apiary and put the zombies in them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they make you a couple frames of brood that you can
Exactly.
throw into a nuke.
And if they're lagging and they're not doing much, then when I get queen rearing, then I can put a queen in there. I can requeen that.
Yeah, let's check out this link here. Try to go the first 20 or 30 minutes and then add the link. There we go. It's pinned. Yeah, so for me, I
Hey,
just
boss.
have not, hey Ian, just haven't been able to get, well, that's not exactly true. I have been consistently bad over winter. You know, I'm
Join the club.
consistent because I get about the same thing out every spring, so I guess that's pretty consistent. But the ones that I really put the feed to, I mean, really put it to them, are doing pretty good. The ones that were beekeeper laziness, man, not so good. But then I got the ones in the out yard. They're not as strong as some of the ones here, but they still are kicking and doing okay. So, but I can definitely tell by the ones that got 8 pounds or 8 gallons of feed on them over the winter are doing much better than the others. So it's going to be one of those things where I think this year I pull the honey and immediately slap feed buckets right on them, which I typically don't. I wait. And this is where the fail is, I think. Instead of feeding them right away when I pull the honey off, I've been waiting until it could be a month or two before I put that feed on. So if I pull it in, let's say, the end of June, 1st of July, it might go through July with nothing on there, August with nothing on there, September, and it might be October before I put feed on them because it's still kind of warm and they're still flying. The problem is, as we've discussed a million times on this channel, doesn't mean they have something to eat, right? They're just flying.
Yeah, they're searching for nothing, right?
Yep. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I have to feed, especially because I'm running singles. I have to feed them right away. I want to make sure my feed pails are ready and put them on as I pull the honey or at the very latest the next day. I have to get the feed on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've been slow on. And I'll say that not slow. I just didn't do it at all, any of the years that I've been beekeeping. So that could be the silver bullet that I'm looking for, if I can keep the pests down and get that
may
feed
help you out.
where they
That
don't
may help you out if you start doing that. You might have a lot better results.
But then I go into the single deep out there yesterday, about 2 frames of bees, 8 frames of honey in there, 8 feed. I won't call it honey. It doesn't justify it. It's probably mostly liquid feed. And then I go into the poly hive that I sent the picture out yesterday. They're drawing comb and everything in there. So they're trying to get it done. Drones. So wait till I start seeing some drones, and then it's going to be time to start trying to make some queens and get that all going. But other than that, it's just been another typical South Carolina up and down summer, winter-ish. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Joey.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
You mowed the grass behind your colonies there today?
No, that's that picture several months old.
What's y'all's weather like today? Ours got up in the 70s.
It was a beautiful day. It's the best day I've had so far to go in the bees.
Mine were out and flying, but I didn't get in them today because I just went in them yesterday. I thought about going to the out yard and getting in this.
I went in a couple of them. They looking good.
Bill, do you rotate your boxes or you don't?
I had planned to this January, of mid-January, but I didn't.
What was the deciding factor that you were like, not going to do it?
Well, it was still kind of up in the air, but I was planning on doing it this time because I skipped about 3 years, 3 or 4. You know how I am with 3s and 7s on beekeeping.
Right.
But it had been a few years, and I said I was going to rotate again and see how it goes. But I like to do it on here in January 15th, and that didn't happen. So I just weather and everything was kind of holding me back, so I just didn't get to it.
I rotated one. I added a box, and then Brad's like, I'd probably switch that brood around. And I did. And then yesterday when I was out there and checking it, as I'm pulling frames out to look at them. And one thing about a poly hive I've noticed, not only do the bees overwinter well, but so do hive beetles, because boy, did they have them in there. And I was hive tool testing a lot of them yesterday. And but they were not only on just the top, but they were also down in the bottom on the frames down there as well. So hopefully I didn't go down to the bottom, because the bees were not happy with me being in there as normal. And so I didn't pull that top box off. I just pulled some frames out of it, looked to see how they were doing, and put it back in. Saw they were drawing some comb. Fresh, nice white new comb too. So they've got a little bit of something coming in. Or, I mean, that colony I'm not worried about. They've got everything they need. They're making drones, and they've got pollen coming in, and they've got some stores. So they're in good shape. Some of the other ones that are a little more suspect.
I've got the two I looked in today looked real good. Had several frames of brood and capped drone brood, but I didn't see any young drones walking around.
Yeah, that's like this one with cap drones, but none walking around yet.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull this photo up. Because some people aren't on the Book of Faces that would have seen it. There it is. Let me open it up this way.
Cajun Homestead said he's got drones walking on frames.
Time to make some queens.
I could have them too. I just looked into that I didn't think were very strong, but they were stronger than what I thought.
This is that poly hive that I just added the wooden box to. They're on here drawing some comb up on the outside, but the bottom box was full too. So, and look, hey, no melty Appy tablet. Didn't melt down in the frames, and they've eaten 3/4 of it. So happy with that. Still working it. That's
I must say though, Bob, I have seen a few of those get a little mushy.
I think it has to do with the moisture that's in the hive from the temperature and the condensation.
Yeah.
More than
I can't remember which one. I was looking at one yesterday, and it was looking kind of sad.
kind of sad looking.
Yeah,
probably fits better now though.
I don't think I've seen one like melt on the frames, but definitely get soft.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, I don't get a lot of condensation in my colonies, because it doesn't get that cold here. So I don't think they have that much of a problem keeping it warm, Oh, Kenneth says they got them walking in Winsboro. Winsboro's not far from here. Uh-oh. We got some kind of they'll let anybody in this place.
Evening, guys.
Hey,
boss.
How's it going, Brad?
All right. Are you getting rested up?
Oh, I need another 3 or 4 days, I think. Yeah. That's
3
a lot.
days and 2 bottles of Kraken.
Oh, no, not that. No, it's just it's hard in the old system, too many people and just too busy. So it's going to take at least a week to settle back down, so.
Yeah.
Get back in the routine, right?
People overload for sure.
Yeah. I just turn the switch on and I just don't turn it off for about three days. So
yep.
It was a nice drive home.
It was a good time.
It was a
a
good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I sure enjoyed that. I don't know about you, Brad, but
Oh yeah,
that was a good convention.
yeah. It
And
was. You know what? Every year that convention, I think, gets better. Very high caliber presenters.
I was thinking that too. I was sitting there, and of course we have Bob there, and he's a king, of course. Exactly.
oh, not this Bob.
The
That's right.
Bob. The Bob.
I forgot. When they say Bob, even though it's my stream, it's not me. Just
But then the speakers afterwards, I mean, the information was quite relevant to everything going on within my apiary and interesting. And there's some science, and then there's some. Then we brought Danny out for that applied sense, and then we had
Yep.
King Bob's. It was
Yep.
very. I was quite happy with that. I won't say I had much to do with that. I mean, there's a lot of the planning committee and the convention committee that put all that together. I did bring Bob though. That's what I did.
Yeah. Well, we've been working on that for a while.
Boy, I'm
not
sure
me,
tired.
Bob. Yeah, I wasn't.
No,
there.
I
You brought this. See,
brought this Bob.
I had
Yeah.
Bob in my shed too, Bob, but I didn't have him sweep the floor like I made you.
Should have staged the same picture.
Ian
I don't know if
Warnock.
Bob
Bob
would have
to the
got the
floor
joke or
again.
not.
Brad brought the cheap Chinese knockoff Bob, and Ian brought the original American-made Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fun. You know, and I told Brad yesterday, Ian, after I sent you that message, I said I got the best compliment I could ever get from Ian. He said, "Now that's a box of bees." And I'm like, "Yes, I've made it."
Feels good, eh? Box of bees. I just love boxes of bees. Yeah.
They didn't care for me in there too much, though. Not
It's
at all.
warm up here today. It got up to 7 degrees, so said the truck. That's pretty warm.
Melted a little bit of snow, eh?
Yeah, the snow is rotting now. So the fields starting to shrink, and it's going in. It's really nice. And we're trying to scrape the yard down so we can get some grain moved out as soon as it freezes up again. And the snow is really rotten. It's breaking apart. We can push it away. So yeah, it's coming. Spring is coming.
And then you get the soft, muddy ground afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah,
A
we got to
little
get
bit.
through that part. But it comes every year.
Yeah, you're probably used to it by now, right? Been through it a couple times.
The bees kept nice and calm in the shed, though. I have this refrigeration going, and it kept her at 4. The bees haven't moved from their cluster, just like that. So we'll just keep.
So overall, with the new unit you have in there, are you satisfied so far?
Yes, so far. Other than it's being a system that I have to manage, I had one of the cooler units inside. There's a contact point that's stuck, and it wasn't turning on the cooler, so I had to get a guy in just to. It's all warranty and all that kind of stuff. He come and switched it, got it up and going. So just things like that.
That's it's just another thing to have to keep track of, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
being 7 degrees outside, if I didn't have a cooler, it would have been a lot of airflow to keep that shed cool with outside air. So it kept them calm, kept them from bearding. So that's nice.
But is that typically, do you find that, well, obviously it's more helpful for the bees, but I know in the past, even when I was there, we walked down the aisles and kind of looked with the lights to see bees hanging out. Is it easy to still tell if they're alive or dead or what's going on in there when they're clustered up on the inside like that with the AC?
Yeah, I'm not so certain what's going on, other than it's taking a heck of a lot of energy to keep the shed cool. So that's a good sign.
Good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing sight of my nukes. They're moving up on me. So either they're getting small or they're just trying to access more food. I'm not sure. So I'm not so certain about that. But we can't really tell till we get them out, get them brooding. We just don't know. Yeah, I think there's something in there anyway.
I was out at the apiary today. It was a nice warm day, as you mentioned. I think it was 5 or 6 degrees and sunny.
They were flying it.
And yeah, there's not much alive out there, but I did see maybe 3 that had some flight.
Okay. What
Um,
kind of flight? Just a little cleansing flight like this, or were they going
mm,
further out?
Not even enough bees to see a pattern.
Oh yeah.
But I could see some, at this end, I could see maybe a little bit of activity, and then I saw a couple down at the other end. Yeah, it wasn't really encouraging, but there were live bees. So,
Are you
That's a
saying
good.
that's
are you
good.
saying you didn't see much activity, or did you dig into some and are you finding?
No, no, no. I
Oh,
just I just took a I was actually on the little tractor, and I just drove down and kind of eyeballed everything on the way down,
oh yeah.
and I thought maybe I saw 3 that might have activity. So, the outdoor wintering really isn't all that good, I don't think, but it might be as good as the indoor. We don't know yet.
Yeah. If
So,
if the ones that are live, if they're not frantically flying, that's a good sign too. If they're nice and calm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my
Char-
my building was getting a bit warm today, so that was a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie here asks, how would you feel about putting them in a garage over winter? I lost all 6 of my hives this winter. I'm going to have a rough time starting over, but do you feel a garage would help if I put them in?
Hard to
No.
know. We don't know
No.
where you are, and
Yeah.
statistically, it doesn't increase survivorship.
Exactly. Yes. Guys get they kind of misunderstand indoor wintering as being just solve a problem like a health problem, and they probably died because of mites or whatever. That's not going to solve any problem. It's just a different way of putting them through winter.
Yeah,
Well,
The
there's
guys
less
down
moisture
south
in the building.
that put them into the shed before almonds and take them out about this time. No, they're end of January into February. They tell me they probably see, especially this year, they're seeing a 10% improvement in survivability. So that's you can consider that maybe. But at the same time, they're still pulling out dead ones because if they're sick, they're sick. The shed's not going to actually. A shed will amplify the problem, if anything.
yeah.
Like Brad will
So
know it.
Charlie, then he was on um, Pennsylvania, so that's a far warmer climate than we're dealing with here with the buildings, and you would definitely need refrigeration to be successful with that because you'd be targeting a 40F environment for the whole time, and you probably would have a difficulty keeping that cool for the entire time. So
I
unless
would
you
have
have
to,
refrigeration, and I'm not talking air conditioner, that won't do it. You probably can't do that.
yeah, that's it. Actually, if I could do that, it would probably help my bees down here. If
Well,
I could,
yes.
because that would take away that 30-degree swing, 80 to 50
Yeah.
to 30
Yeah.
temperatures that we get, and
If
keep it
if
warm.
you could do that, if you had refrigeration, you could do that. It probably would increase your survivorship.
But the right now, that is not the case.
Brad, is that an old picture behind you, or is that current?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I forget when that was.
You'd have
That's
way
pretty
more
old.
snow than that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's move out day, I think. Was it was well, it wasn't last year. There's way too many hives there to be last year. um, it was, I think, the year before.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that was 23, move out day 23. It's weird how you can remember the layout of the apiary and remember the year.
I just touched base with another beekeeper from California that I kind of know over social media here. What did you say, 1,200 colonies or something like that? Good beekeeper, focuses on nutrition, mite treatments down to 300 colonies already. So it's like, poof, just another guy. Just these guys. Makes me nervous.
I think Todd was telling us about a guy. What did he say? 30,000 colonies, or that he had. It was a. I've got to try to look back through the message and see how many colonies. It was either 3,000 colonies or 30,000 colonies, and he
A
was
bit
down.
of a difference there.
Yeah, factor of 10, right? Let's see.
How's yours look, Joseph?
They're looking good so far. I'll be splitting in about a week.
Oh boy.
Only thing Ian's splitting is wood. The fireplace.
Yeah.
Actually, I may be splitting before a week, but my target date is March 1st. And then once I start going in, we'll see what we do then.
Are you bringing some queens up for that, or do you have drones flying around?
I'll be getting sales from a guy. I've got drones in the brood right now, but I don't see any walking. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That guy had 3,000 colony, and he's down to 300 too.
That's probably the guy I'm thinking
Wow.
of. Yeah. I didn't think he had 3,000 though.
Hey, James.
Evening, guys.
Are you on a boat?
No,
Hey,
no,
James.
I'm back here in Alberta trying to get things ready to, well, I mean, last year we brought the bees out to mid-March, and the weather here has been, well, it's above, what was it today? 11 degrees, 12 degrees, supposed to be double digits for the next week.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting ready just in case. I'm hoping it'll be after April, but I don't know. Mother Nature's not looking too well on us here right now.
How's the refrigeration working?
It's keeping it. So it's keeping it. I mean, the most it ever really gets in there is about 5 degrees. So it's keeping it pretty much between 3 and 5 degrees. So, I mean, that's going good. Alan and I were in there the other day. We weren't too sure kind of walking around. I think most of my bees and our bees there have all moved up now.
Yeah.
So you're kind of looking in there. There's not a lot you can see, and it was pretty quiet in there. So, we took the chance. We flipped the light on, and 2 or 3 minutes later, it was still pretty quiet in there. And we thought, we lifted one lid, and we very quickly put it back down because so there. We know that at least that colony's still going in there, but I don't know where it's at. We did. We went back to the red lights and we kind of took a look at some of those small mini mating nukes, Brad, and we popped the lid on. I think 4 of those. It doesn't look like they made it through, but I mean that was a trial, anyways, right? But and we put those 2 deep, so. We haven't got through the rest of them yet. As soon as we saw that there were still bees in there, we didn't want to interrupt them. We kind of shut everything back up and basically walked away. And now we're getting ready.
You must just be back because Leia, I think I just seen a Facebook post of, unless that was a photo dump, of you're on the water somewhere.
I think she's just trying to play catch up. We've been back now for about a week, I guess. About 7 days we've been back now.
Oh, I see.
So, but that's interesting down there. If we could get our honey into the stores down there, that would be something else. We walked around some of the grocery stores and some of the markets and stuff down there while we were there, and these little tiny pill bottles. I don't know. They were probably about 3 inches high and about 3/4 inch in diameter. They're selling their honey down there. That little jar is going for $18 Eastern Caribbean, which would be $9 Canadian, $8-9 Canadian. So it's absolutely crazy.
Here's a good age-old question. Anybody want to bite?
I can't see it.
You can't win with this question.
You can't win with this question.
Nope, because if you answer it and say, well, sugar's cheaper than honey is.
Brad, what is Bob saying about, he was talking about sucrose and the hydrogen peroxide that sucrose makes after the bee is stored in the comb, which was quite beneficial. Did you catch that part?
I remember him talking about that.
And he was
He did
comparing
it-
it to high fructose corn syrup, where the fructose didn't create any benefit whatsoever,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
the sucrose did. It did create this natural hydrogen peroxide after the
yeah.
bees stored it. I thought
I
that's
know
quite
that's
interesting.
I
I
know
never heard
that's
that
something
before.
that it does, and that's one of the reasons it's very good to put on a wound.
Mhm.
To clean a wound, you put honey on a wound, and it just creates just a thin layer of hydrogen peroxide where it touches the moisture of the
Bob
wound.
did a whole video on that too.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, it's interesting that the sucrose does that and not the fructose. It just,
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it once you get that video all edited up,
yeah,
Brad. I'll have
yeah.
to watch that again because that was a good presentation he made. That was a really
It
good one.
was. It was very good. So this idea, you know, sugar water, sucrose syrup, whatever you want to call it, and I'm gonna use sucrose syrup specifically. Um, you know, if your bees cleanse from time to time during the winter, then as far as I'm concerned, you feed them all the honey you want. But there's been extensive research done in winter climates like Manitoba, where the bees are totally sequestered for 4 or 5 months at a time, and it's just the clean nature of sucrose syrup. Uh, they call it ash, I think, isn't it, Ian? They call it all the impurities, the natural impurities in
Yeah,
honey.
yeah.
That's not present in sucrose syrup, so it doesn't fill their guts.
Oh shit.
So they need to poop. What's your language, young man? Uh, so that's
Ian,
so that's
you couldn't even
that's
use your honey in the winter, could you?
It'd be
Oh.
solid.
Turns to
Oh,
sugar too much?
yeah. Canola doesn't make winter feed at all. Not at all.
and
Not even a
there's
little bit.
that. Some honeys granulate so fast and so hard that there's no way you could use it for winter feed. But barring any of those issues, then you know, if you have cleansing plates during the winter, then by all means feed them honey.
Alfalfa makes great winter feed. I know that. Yeah.
Sorry,
Canola,
James,
not so
fiddling with the
much.
puck there,
And it's
something.
alfalfa is a very light honey too.
I have 4 yards that are on buckwheat this last fall, and I haven't seen any evidence of poopy fronts on them yet. I'm
Okay.
watching for it. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign so far. Maybe they loaded more up with alfalfa around that area. But buckwheat's high in ash content and minerals. We haven't hit March yet. March is coming.
I can tell my bees are getting out because I got yellow zebra stripes all over my windshield of my truck.
Yeah.
They're just showing you some
Yeah.
love, Bob. They're just
That's
showing
it.
you some love.
Well, they shit on me like everybody else, so why not?
Good grief.
See, this is why I'm not invited up as the Bob.
That's right.
Hey,
We
Mike.
had we
How's
had
it
you
going, Joey?
down, but
Ian, Bob,
Hey.
Evening.
Brad.
hey, Mike.
But you know, it's exciting because we go through this period, and I think by the end of the season, you're just so tired. It's like everybody, you know, for you guys, I'm sure it's like, oh, I'm glad I finally got these in the barn, and you know, I can relax a little bit, even though we know Ian doesn't even sleep because you know. And then for me, I've heard a lot of people this year. I ain't gonna name any names, but a lot of people that have just kind of voiced their burnout on, you know, and if you're on YouTube plays a part in that too, right? So you got your bees, your job, YouTube, whatever, and they're just like, man, I just don't know if it's worth it at the scale that some of us smaller guys do it all the time to still be tired. But then guess what? You open up a box of bees and you're like, heck yeah, let's go. It's time to do this thing. And then it's all, you start it all over again. So we're excited. I'm excited about this season. not the best starting point, but it's a starting point, right? And we're gonna make it work.
That was kind of like me today, Bob. I was kind of like, oh, I need to look in these 2 hives here. But once I got in them, I felt like I sat in an easy chair, just kind of relaxed.
Yep. That's it. Just at peace a little bit with it. Of course, I can't get much peace for my bees. I'll open them up and kill. What do you say, Mike? I kill more bees just looking in my hives because they sting me and die.
I was going to say, you open your hives and then run like hell.
The some of these are, and okay, people are gonna hate me, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I've used smoke on my colonies and I've not used smoke on my colonies. And I'll tell you this, the mean colonies don't give a shit how much smoke you blow in them. They're still coming. Right, Joey? I'm not lying.
If they really hot bees, smoke don't matter.
No, well, I mean, what it will do on that polyhive, so smoked across the top of the frames, they go down. Then they come out the front. They come back at you. But it was, I get more comments about not using the smoker on the videos, right? Oh, you smoke, that'll calm them down. No, not these. James wasn't even at the colony when he came here. He was standing in the middle of the yard, got stung, 2 or 3 times in the first 120 seconds?
I got out of your vehicle and they nailed me within like 30 seconds. And I wasn't even anywhere close to your hives. It was like, welcome to Bob's.
And see, that was 2 years ago. And then
different
people
than
say,
my
well,
theory, huh?
you need to, and see, that's the thing. They say, well, you need to bring in new genetics. Every one of those queens got replaced between then and now. Every one of them were. And they still get spicy over here. So
I hardly use smoke too.
What's that?
I hardly use smoke either.
You know, they see the guy, the happy Canadian man, coming out in his shorts to unveil.
Hey, Bob, do you have skunks?
No, not that I'm aware of.
It's an agreement. It's kind of a memorandum of understanding when I walk out there in t-shirt and shorts, right? It's sort of like, okay, they know that I'm going to mind my manners because they have plenty of opportunity. So they don't get too upset.
Yeah, I've walked around your apiary and stuff like that, though, too, Brad. And I mean, they're very, very different bees than what Bob's got down south. I mean, we did a pile of work in your apiary with. I think we did a lot of stuff out there without even a veil or gloves or anything.
Oh, if we weren't going right through colonies, we didn't wear veils.
Clay says he thinks it's the hive beetles, and I would tend to agree with you. When you bang the hive beetles out on a lid with the bees that are on that frame, the bees won't fly right back. They will actually still corral those beetles on top of a migratory cover somewhere else in the yard before they fly back. So you're probably right.
We had a local guy go do some humanitarian work and go to Honduras to the beekeepers there, and he was showing us presentation on his visit. And in Honduras, they have a smoker, but it's a person.
It's a person that stands there.
Not just a tool. And the smoker is the size of a small person. They smoke so much.
I can relate to that, Brad. Down in Grenada, they don't even have a smoker like we use. They basically got the case that I saw, they would weave palm leaves together. They would light the end, and they just wave those palm leaves around there. That's pretty much all that they would use. They didn't even, when I was showing them pictures of the smoker and stuff that I used up here, they had never seen that, which kind of surprised me. It's you would think that the beekeeping industry was pretty standard worldwide, but I very quickly learned it's not. A lot of our tools and practices we have up here, they've never heard of down there at all.
Saying to my bees, I swear at them sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Nature Sweet Bee says here, that if if they stay hot with smoke, it's automatic queen replacement. I've replaced, well, James, when you came down, that was year before last, right? I replaced them all that year.
Yeah, I think we worked on, didn't you graft pretty much new queens for all of them, right?
For all of them. And then the next year, which was last year, I brought in a bunch of new genetics and replaced all the ones. The mean colony that I had, I split them up, and I always get a couple of them. And it could just be that time of the year too, where they're just starting to get going, and who knows? I mean, it doesn't seem to matter. I get one every year, and I don't have enough to where I can just go wipe out a colony with some soap or something like that. So it's what we do. We just keep going, and it doesn't bother me because I don't go in my bees every single day. So it only bothers me on the days I go in there. So we'll just have to figure it out.
It only bothers me on the days I visit you.
Well, the days I leave you sitting in the front yard for 3 hours before I wake up.
Oh yeah, but I could have sold a lot of honey for you, man.
Well, I'll buy you a table for the next time you come down, and we'll just have it set up there. I'll tell you where the honey's at.
Those queens that you've been getting, they were all mated when you got them?
Yep. And I've gotten them from multiple different people too. So it's not just the one breeder. I actually got queens from 3 different places last year. Jose, Cutix, and then I had some from down in Florida that were supposed to be from Tuckabees. So
you like Ian need some of this good Alberta stock.
I know. Just send them on down. Send them all down. It's something. Hopefully this year we can mate a bunch, and maybe the drones are getting better because I've been replacing the queens. So possible we could see that happen. But yeah, they're not always friendly when I go out there. I mean, a lot of times, I could put a veil on and stand by them or whatever, and usually not a problem, but sometimes they just don't want nothing to do with it. Well, it's definitely cooler right now. The Canadian queen bees are definitely cooler right now. Whoop. Yeah, that could be it too. I don't know. Big Mike, what's going on with you, sir?
Waiting for the snow to drop so I can go check on my hives.
Got how much you sitting in now? 2 feet?
No, it's come down. It was in the 40s today. Landing boards are starting to pop here and there. A little bit of bee flight today. The ones that are in the direct sun, but it was kind of overcast. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice.
We were at 72 with a real feel of 77 today. So it's going to be that way for the next few days, and then it's going to get cooler again. Joey, what was it like temperature-wise for you today?
It was somewhere in the 70s. It was 60, 65 degrees when I started in the bees today. It got in the 70s later. It was nice. It's the prettiest day we've had, I think. We've been getting a lot of rain the last several days.
Ian disappeared on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, his phone rang.
Brad, I talked about you on one of my videos.
You've been talking about me.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
The video that comes out Saturday, I talked about you a little bit.
All right. I hope it's good.
Oh, it's good.
Okay, good. Thanks, Joey.
I started using those, what you call the storyboard.
Oh, story frame.
Story
Yeah.
frame. Yep. Instead of using whole empty foundations, I went to that.
So,
I think that's a much better idea.
so are you using that for culling drones for varroa control?
Well, not necessarily for culling, but just to let them make drones.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I've
Yeah,
always liked to leave at least one frame per, at minimum one frame per colony, but
mm,
sometimes I go one frame per box because I go double deeps.
it really helps keep the boxes clean
Yeah,
uh, of all that drone brood stuck between the frames.
yeah. I noticed that a lot less burcon when you do that.
Hmm. I learned that kind of by accident. My first was a couple of years into beekeeping. I started doing inspections for the province, and I guess Ian's got to go. Um, and I'd use those right from the beginning, right from the very first when I started beekeeping. So I didn't know any different. And then I started inspecting other people's colonies, and I'd take a lid off and I go, "What in the world is this?" Because
Yeah, it's
of
everywhere.
drone brood everywhere. Thinking, and I didn't clue in right away. Why are their hives so much different than mine? And then I realized, aha, she's got a place to put the drones in my hives.
Yeah. And I've culled a lot of my, like I say, I use totally foundationless frames for that, and I've culled a lot of them in the past year or two. So, and I'm too
There are more.
lazy to put wire or string in them, so I figured
Yeah.
that'd be the
Oh,
best
it's
way to
so much
go.
easier just to put the foundation. There are more. I cut the foundation clear in two. So I'll cut
Yeah.
it in half, and then I center the half in the center of the frame. So there's a quarter foundation space
Mhm.
on each side. I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to try to put some foundation on the outside and leave
I
the
thought about,
center foundationless, mostly because I want to make some comb honey in the middle,
yeah,
and I think that will help keep the comb from getting too crazy, because often if they go off, curved or something, it'll be on the outside of the frames. They'll start just fine, and then when they get to the
yeah.
outside, they start to curve it around. So,
I may do that too. I kind of thought about that, but that'd be just more cutting. But that's fine too. It's easy to do.
They'll probably cap
Morris,
it a little bit quicker that way too, eh, Brad?
uh, yeah, because they of course they start building the lobe in the center, right? So they'll build the center first, theoretically, and then move out from there. So Morris, I just cut it on either my sliding compound miter saw or my radial arm saw. Um, I think you cut it on table saw too, but I have cut it on table saw.
I make 2 passes with a box knife.
Hmm.
It'll just break in half.
What brand of foundation is that, Joey?
I think I was using Peer Code today
Okay.
on that. Some I had in a
Pure,
box.
I use Right Cell, and I have used Pureco. The Pureco is almost as thick as the Right Cell, but it's not quite as thick.
It's yeah.
Um, I know Permadent is very thin. You could probably cut that with one pass on a utility knife. It's very thin.
I know I got some of the old Man Lake plastic in the older frames, and it's kind of thick. I bet it's kind of hard to break too.
Yeah, yeah. The Right
I
Cell
need
is the Man Lake product. It's
yeah,
thick. It's heavy. It's a heavy
yeah.
product. You pick
Hmm.
up 10 sheets. Like, you think about how much of this weight
Yeah.
in this box is foundation. You pick up 10 sheets. It's heavy.
I think I got Man Lake stuff right here.
I run all acorn.
You can see the difference in the thickness.
Hmm.
It's hard to bend into place too, isn't
Yeah.
it? that older stuff was hard to push in.
Yeah, like Brad said, it's heavy too. It's almost half again the thickness of this one, that black one.
It's thick stuff. Yeah, the permanent I'm not crazy about. If I'm gonna have a blowout in extractor or something warp in a brood chamber or something, it's gonna be a permanent
That must be what
sheet.
this one over here is, because
It's
I
very thin.
acquired some a couple years ago. They were done like that already
Yep.
when I
Yeah.
got them. And in my last video, I showed some of them. They actually bowed just sitting back here in the back shed, covered up, and they were honeycomb. And when I went to get them all out a couple of weeks ago, they were all like this.
Did you flip them over the other way to let them straighten out?
No, I'm gonna knock the wax off of them and throw them in the burn barrel.
Brad, are you going to use your story frame in your honey super to do your cut comb? Is that what you were talking about?
I have used them extensively in the honey supers for comb honey, and they work quite well. It doesn't suit my extracting process very well because I don't stop my extracting process to cut my comb. Once I'm done all of my extracting and everything's in the pails and whatnot, then I'll set up my table where I can cut all my comb honey. But once I cut the comb honey out of the story frames, now I have to extract them. So I have to go back in my process because I have to extract the center part, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of sometimes it doesn't work very well because they don't, they start building the honeycomb in the center and they don't build out as far. So that's what I was thinking. If I put a strip of foundation on the outsides, leave the center free, then maybe they would build that lobe in the center a little more reliably because they will always start in the center, more or less.
Now, would you put a little wax stick in the top bar?
You can. That just kind of helps them center it. If you just leave the frame bare, they'll quite often start on the corner of the frame instead of in the middle because there's a slot in the middle. They can't start there, so they'll start on the corner of the frame.
So,
So I quite
what
often
I'm
put a
saying, would
stick
you
in
put a
there.
stick between the two pieces of foundation?
I might, yeah. I did in the mediums that I built, but that didn't seem to help at all. My comb honey was a colossal failure last summer, which is kind of terrible, but it is what it is.
I'll be right back. You guys chat amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm going to do a Charlie.
All right. So yeah, and I can't remember why I have them, but I have a whole box of the little strips already. So I thought, hey, I'm just going to use these up and put them in some frames and make some comb honey, hopefully.
Have you ever done it with the regular wax for comb honey?
Have I done it?
Put the honey the cut comb wax in, as a starter strip.
I never use foundation for my comb honey. I think I know what you mean, but I never.
Well, yeah, they make an ultra thin.
Yeah.
That
I never
you
use
can.
that, and I don't really plan to. I just feel that it's not something I want in my comb honey. I don't want somebody eating that. Right? But it's just me. I don't fault anybody for doing it, but that's just me. I like it. I like the fact that when I sell a tray of comb to a customer, I like the fact that it's the product is
Everything.
between the bees and the customer, right?
Yeah.
The bees made it, and they made it exactly the way the customer gets it. Nothing less, nothing more, and that's just the way I feel about it. I kind of wish I could. I wish I didn't feel that way because that foundation would make it quite a bit easier.
I mean, you could do like maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch piece and just wax it in instead of putting your stick in there. They may.
You know what, my observations on how they build comb, that's kind of a waste of money. I don't think that matters at all. Because all they do is they just use that for wax. It doesn't matter that it's foundation, right? They just chew it up and do something with it. Just just my observations on how they build comb.
James still here, or did he disappear? Do we need to call 911, James?
Well, I'm still here. I'm busy packaging honey. I got to get. I need 700 pounds of honey packaged for tomorrow. So we're busy. We're busy doing that.
Sounds like a plan. 700 pounds. That's pretty good. Must have a convention or something, a meeting, a show.
No, actually, just a customer's order. So, like you say, we still have barrels and barrels of honey we got to get rid of. So anytime I get an order like this, I want to make sure that I'm Johnny on the spot and keep them happy.
I can understand that. 700 pounds. That's a nice sale.
Yeah, I could use about another, I don't know, 5 or 10 of those.
If we don't, hopefully I can make as much honey this year coming up as I did this year. If we can get the bees back where they need to go.
No, I think, I mean, it's going to be a challenging year for us without a doubt. I mean, we lost a lot of colonies last fall. I know we lost some more colonies this winter. So it's going to be a challenging year for Alan and I for sure this year, but we will overcome.
Yeah, it's every year. It's another thing where we have to figure out what we're going to do for the season, right? And iron it out.
Yeah, I think last year I'll say I didn't kind of recognize some signs that were going on out there and sample testing rather than testing a small percentage of the colonies and expecting them all to be the same. I think that kind of caught me. So I'll be doing a lot more testing this year for sure, and going to be getting on things a little bit quicker. So now it was a really weird year for us here last year too, as far as weather. I mean, hot and dry, and we had multiple nectar flows where we don't usually get that. The nectar usually starts and it goes for a month and a half, 2 months there, and then starts dying off. And we didn't last year. The nectar would flow for a day, maybe two, and then it would go into a dearth. And then a week later we'd get some rain, and a few days after that we'd have an nectar flow and for a day or two, and then we'd go into a dearth. So it was really a strange year for us.
Sounds like every year that I've got.
Yeah, but when you're not expecting that, it's not something that you build a plan to manage.
Right.
And in all honesty, it's a learning curve for me. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know how to manage that. Our tool chest is a little bit fuller this year.
That's good. I know you guys will get it figured out. I know you have a plan for it. Probably a 458-page document, detailed plan.
Well, I did take some notes, but it's nothing like that.
You guys are quite silent tonight.
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a really long day. Working outside most of the day and trying to walk around on the snow and ice without falling down. Nearly fell a couple times, but didn't.
The
Is that a powder, Bob?
it is a powder. Yeah, it's a powder. Let me. I don't know if I can.
I hadn't
Amazon.
started trying to flavor any yet.
Let's see. All right. So this, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. That is for strawberry. Assume it showed up on. Yep, it showed up. All right. I wanted to make sure it showed up on Facebook. And I use strawberry, peach, blueberry, blackberry, lemon, bunch of different flavors. They're not all cheap, though. I'll tell you that. Lemon is probably
when do you actually put your flavoring in?
After I've creamed the honey. So it's already creamed, ready to be jarred. And then I drain out enough to put in my KitchenAid mixer and then batch it. And everyone says, well, how much do you put in there? Well, to my taste. When I think it tastes good, that's when it goes in the jar. So I don't have a recipe like that. And the reason is because you got a bowl and you don't know exactly how much honey I'm putting in that bowl every time. So I just do it to my taste. And the key of it for me is just getting people to taste it, because once they taste it, they buy. I mean, almost 100% of them buy. That's
what's your best seller?
Lemon for me is probably the best seller. And then
I got some of that from Greg Don that's on here. And that's some good stuff.
And it just depends, because if I've got 10 different flavors and someone comes up, they may not want to try 10 different flavors when they come. They might try 2 or 3 flavors and buy from those or whatever, because they just don't have any idea what it is here. And one of the tricks for us, Joey, down in the South is keeping it to stay hard, right, in the jar. So this has just been on my desk. You can see it's a little bulge in there where it's sagging from the weight. And this is peach. That's why it's got little peach pieces in there. But
I see. What all, Greg, what all did I get from you? I got that. I got the cinnamon. I remember chocolate. I think it was chocolate or cocoa. My granddaughter took that one from me.
I've got a chocolate donut one that I made this time. So
I don't make flavored honeys, but I'll tell everybody present that if you have not tried Bob Walker's flavored honey, you are missing out. I have tried I think every flavor he's ever made, and man, it seems like this guy's been doing that all his life, because he has nailed it.
I had good teachers, man. YouTube. YouTube chat. So yeah, it's just, I mean, for me, it's kind of when I started to do the flavoring, there's 2 ways to do it, right? Are you going to do it flavored to where it's primarily the honey flavor with a hint of the flavor you're adding? And that's the purist, right? The purist is like, well, I want to keep it pure to the honey. But if I'm selling something that tastes like lemon, then in my mind, it needs to taste like lemon, right? When they get it. Now, my favorite lemon that I've tasted, and I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that I've tried a lot of lemons, but the one that I got from you when I was up there, when you go to get lemon creamed honey, and the first thing you get in your mouth when you're tasting it is a bit of a seed and a piece of a rind.
It's like marmalade.
Yeah, it's got lemon in it for sure. So
yeah, that guy is the king of flavored honey.
That's mine. This jar, this case has been sitting in this building for about 2 or 3 weeks now.
Joey, what's the what temperature does it usually sit at?
In here, it's been below 70 in here. I don't let it get, maybe 72 is about the warmest I let it get in here.
Because I've got all these creamed honeys in the back of my wife's car, and when it was cold a couple weeks ago, man, it was just as solid as could be in there, so
yeah. But the rest of mine, I got 3 cases out in the camper, the outdoor kitchen or refrigerator. I got it set on 57 degrees.
My cream of mushroom honey is pretty good. Tomato soup flavored creamed honey. For me, it's more, the creamed honeys are like projects, right? If I find a flavor that I think is cool, like the Girl Scout cookie Thin Mint or the Snickers I did a couple years ago, when I found those flavorings, it was like limited supply, right? If you want these, you better buy them now because they're not going to be here. And they did pretty good at that point, but I haven't been able to find those flavorings since.
Flavored honey is also something they've never heard of in the Caribbean islands.
I bet you would do well. I still need to try. James does a lemon pepper.
Oh, that's one of our best sellers. It absolutely is one of our best sellers. It goes phenomenal on salmon or fish or ribs or chicken wings or chicken nuggets or anything.
That would be a good one to try. Thank you again, Robert. I appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, that's kind of how I was. I had a refrigerator full of it. I still have some in my creamer. So I've always got, if I needed to make a batch, I could pretty quick, right? Just pull some off, mix in a flavor, good to go.
Oh, just.
Uh-oh.
I got a bit of cleaning to do.
Yeah, I can't say that I had either, to be honest.
Nope, it's not in the stores, so that's for sure around here.
Well, it is in the stores here, though. It seems to have really become something that's exploded in popularity here in the last 10 years.
I think for the lemon one in particular, because the questions I get typically are, well, what would I use this for, right? Well, you can put it on a hot biscuit, you could do this, you could do that. But the lemon one, you could say, oh, well, you can just scoop it out and use it to sweeten your tea, and then you get your lemon in your, in your hot tea or something like that. But the hot honey, it's like, oh, well, you can cook with it and you can use it to put on
I think that's perfect for tea.
Yeah. So, but some things, it's like, what would I do with this chocolate donut flavored honey? I don't know. What do you do with Nutella? Right?
You didn't have to eat it right off the spoon.
Yeah.
We developed actually 2 lines, guys. We developed a spreadable line that'll go on, say, toast or crackers or things like that. But then we also developed a cooking line, where the hot honey, the honey garlic, the lemon pepper, the dill pickle. Which one did I miss, Alan?
Dill pickle.
I missed one.
But does that taste like a bread and butter pickle with the sweet?
Well, no, actually, it tastes like dill pickles, and it goes really good. We tried it on wings, and oh man, it was a hit for the wings for sure.
I did get a dill flavored one from you, Brad. I've had that, and it did taste like pickles, which surprised me because it didn't really give you that sweet honey flavor.
That's not a flavored honey. That's a honey product, but it's not a flavored honey. It's kind of one of those things. I gave it to you because it's a Winnipeg thing. This is the only place you could buy that product, and it seems to have a cult following here. Honestly, I don't like it at all.
You you don't like that one?
No, I don't think it's good at all. But it's just one of those Winnipeg things. And I thought, oh, I'll get Bob some. I had never had it. So it's not like I pulled something out of my pantry that I hated and said, here, Bob. Uh,
Yeah, I don't
I,
need
ha-
this in mine anymore.
I bought one for you. I bought one for me. I tried mine and I thought, ooh,
I would need a bigger label if I
no.
wanted to write the name of the flavor on there, wouldn't
Uh, what size is that one, Joseph? I mean,
I?
That's a wide
that's what I
mouth.
do for. I just
Yeah, mine's too small for that. I'll have to get bigger ones if I start flavoring it. Little bitty label there.
I see if I can tell you what size I'm using.
Might just have to write, guess what?
Question marks on it.
Yeah.
Flavor of the day.
I'm using a 2-inch round glossy label.
2-inch? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
I had to order me some 2-inch.
Here's one for you guys. I keep some honey out in my wood shop. So I haven't been out here or made tea out here in about 2 years, but check this out. It is still liquid. So this is obviously some of that good clover or alfalfa honey. Look how clear it is too.
I bottled some up. I was telling Brad yesterday, I bottled some up, I think it was last month. Did a 3-pound jar and it's been cold. And that thing's solid. It's like a solid block. I got to put it in the warmer.
Oh, well, my shop here is heated, so it stays heated. But I mean, it's not warm by any stretch of the imagination. It's probably, I don't know, 10, 14 degrees type thing out here, but it's definitely not, it's not heated, to the point where it would keep it from solidifying.
Well, this hot honey, for the most part, has not crystallized, only a little bit. And this is like 2 years old, this one. So just a little bit in the bottom. Not
There's
too bad.
a question for you, pepper honey guys.
Mm-hmm.
Down there.
Here comes the rabbit hole. Let's go. I'm ready.
No, Charlie's got a question down there for it.
Oh. Let me see. The process of making pepper honey. What do you do? Just add peppers until you're liking. It doesn't make the honey caramelize. I never had it. Would love to try it. I do it different than most anybody, I think. So I may not be the one you want to listen to about that, because mine is a much longer process than just putting dehydrated peppers in. Because for me, dehydrated peppers, other than like red chili peppers, the dehydrated peppers already have all the capsaicin and the flavor dried out of them. So when you put dried peppers in, yes, they'll rehydrate with the moisture of the honey, but is the flavor in there? That's depends what you're trying to do. For mine, I typically take a bucket of honey, maybe not a full bucket, maybe like 3 gallons or something like that. And I take a brew bag and I go to the store and buy a bunch of peppers, jalapeno, habanero, serrano, poblano, just a bunch of different fresh peppers. Not typically bell peppers, but other peppers. And then chop them up. And the problem is, doing it the way that I do it, is the honey pulls all of the moisture out of those peppers, which makes your batch of hot honey a lot higher moisture content. So you have to dehydrate the honey back down after you've gotten the flavor out of the peppers. So what I typically do, it's a really lazy way to do it, but it works. It just takes a long time. Is I throw one of those 20 micron strainers, the ones that go in top of the 5-gallon pail. I put that in there and let it just vent the moisture and dry off the top. And then once a day or twice a day, I'll come by and stir the bucket and just put the top back on until the moisture level's right. And if you do that, you'll get a nice, you can taste the fresh peppers in it. So, it works well for me, and I don't mind taking a long time for it to do its thing because the product tastes good to me. But there's other methods of doing it. You know, some people use dry peppers, and if their product is their product and that's the way they like it and it works well.
I'm from Louisiana. I like a little spicy.
Yeah.
I'm not a real hot pepper guy, but I like a little spicy.
And that's what this is, right? Just a little heat on that one. And then I've got the Carolina Reaper one, which is just heat. I mean, it's just dehydrated Carolina Reaper peppers. And this
guy had several flavors that I tried to get Randy. Randy McCaffrey, him or Mike wouldn't hardly taste it at the Nobby last year. And I liked them all. They were all good. But he brought me one this past expo. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Bob, but it's
Blackbeard canning peach mango.
Yeah. This is so hot, I can't hardly eat it. It's hot. I think he did some extra spice just to get me back.
He added a little extra in there.
Yeah, now I can taste it, but I don't know if I could ever put this on anything.
Got to put just a little bit on the whole thing, right? 1 spoon will do you.
It's good though. It's real good.
I was going to say, when somebody from Louisiana is saying it's hot, it's hot.
Yeah. It's burning right now. But it's got a great flavor. That peach mango, that's a good flavor. I would have to mix that with something else.
Well, the good thing about flavored honeys is it all uses the same process of creaming the honey, right? Yeah. So that step's the same. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how you're going to add your flavor in, whether, I use a KitchenAid mixer for my flavoring part of it, and then bottle it up. So I can literally, if I've got the honey creaming, I can go ahead and mix up a bunch of different flavors if I wanted to at one time. Crickets.
I can't end this conversation because I don't do.
It's all your fault,
I don't
man.
do that.
You started all that.
The only thing I know about creamed honey is that this guy has got fantastic flavored creamed honey.
I try.
Well, you nailed it.
The thing is, when you're trying to introduce something to the market that nobody's heard of and they don't know what it is, and then you got to let them taste it. Well, you got one shot, right? You got one shot to get them to like it. Put the flavor in their mouth.
There was a fellow YouTuber. He's got a sailing channel. I gave him basically a 1 liter container of honey down there in Grenada. We were actually docked right beside him when we were down there. So he was saying, he's from Florida. He was saying how he loves honey and stuff. So I gave him that container of honey. And Sasha came over about, I think it was a day and a half later, saying that Raph had pretty much eaten that whole container of honey. I guess he would just take a tablespoonful, and this was the creamed honey. He had never tried the cream honey before either. They both looked at it. Of course, the nose kind of curled up a little bit, but he took a taste of it, and he's like, "Oh man," he says, "this stuff is good." So for the next day and a half, he had a tablespoon full of honey in his mouth the whole time as he was working. And 2 days later, that whole 1 liter tub of honey was gone. It was kind of funny, but they had never experienced or didn't know what creamed honey was either.
Yeah, it's definitely not much. Well, I mean, I'll say it's not much of a thing down here, but obviously I'm talking to a bunch of beekeepers and we've talked about cream and honey for 2 years now. So with you guys in the chat, obviously it's a thing, but anybody else around here, they don't really have a clue on what it is.
They're missing out.
Oh, I believe so. I think if some people have less strict regulations than other places, if you could get creamed honey into the grocery store and you could actually do like a sample table like they do at Sam's Club or Costco or something like that, where you could let people taste it, you would sell a bunch of creamed honey and flavored creamed honey. So it's 2 different things in Canada. It's creamed honey, which is plain creamed honey, and then there's flavored honey, is any honey that's got flavoring in it, right?
No, it's actually that way everywhere in the world.
Really? Only not for Bob.
No, that's one different thing because creamed honey isn't as much of a thing. I'm going to say in the South,
Right.
which means south of Winnipeg.
South of Winnipeg.
Then you guys kind of talk about creamed honey as being flavored honey, whereas
Right.
creamed honey here is a normal thing. Like we
Brad,
just have
I'd say
honey,
everybody
right?
except for me on here is probably south of Winnipeg.
Is what? South
think-
of Winnipeg?
Yeah, everybody
yeah.
but me is south of Winnipeg on here.
So it's because you don't normally sell creamed honey. You're selling flavored honey, which is usually creamed. Actually, it's not always creamed. There are non-creamed flavored honeys as well.
Like hot honey.
Hot honey, that one with the nuts, that's a liquid honey with cinnamon.
So there is a.
And boy, is it good.
The
It
thing
kind
is,
of the honey. I don't know what it does to the nuts. It takes some of the crunch out of the nuts. They're a little bit softer, a little bit chewy. It's kind of neat.
and cinnamony.
And
Cinnamon.
cinnamon
That's
is
with what, walnuts and pecans, Brad?
it's just a
Just
mixed
mixed nuts.
nuts blend. Yeah, just grocery store bag of mixed nuts. Really, it's really really good.
And I think that what is that? Is that a half pint jar or a quarter pint jar or something?
I don't know that I saw a size on it. It's a wide mouth mason jar, and it's only about that big.
Probably what, Joey? A half pint?
Yeah.
How many pounds would that be? That'd be
Half
half a pound.
No, a pint's a pound and a half, so half it'd be like 3/4 of a pound.
Yeah,
That's a pint. Ain't that a pint?
yeah, it might be that big.
That's 8 ounces.
That's a standard mouth mason jar, is it, Joey?
Yeah.
No, a pint is 12 ounces.
It's not very big.
Well, it's a 12-ounce jar, but it's 8 ounces of honey in there.
This is the pint.
Well, it's a 12 fluid ounce jar, right?
Okay, this is a half pint. What I got, half
Okay.
pint. I've said pint, half pint.
I think this is a pound. I think it's half a pound or so.
Russell says 6 ounces.
But then, it's not half a pound of honey because it's
Nuts.
full of nuts. And it's full of nuts. It's not cheap. Like, it's full. I think he probably mostly fills the jar with nuts and then puts the honey in.
Well, how does he keep the nuts from floating up out of the thing?
You don't. And as I'm eating it, I'm scooping up the nuts and I'm eating the nuts and I can see the honey at the bottom start to get more and more just plain honey because the nuts float
to the top.
Yeah.
I'm assuming these are not salted at all, right? That would probably mess it up.
I never asked. That might be a good thing though. That might taste really good. So
little
yeah,
sweet and salty action.
yeah.
I might have to try that.
Honey flavored boiled peanuts.
Just fill the jar up with peanuts, boiled peanuts.
Fill it up with
Fill the
boiled
jar up
peanuts
with
and then put
peanuts,
honey in
top
it.
it off with honey.
That's all I got right now.
The Russell says, I would think the salt would be good. Yeah, it
I
might
think
be.
it
I
would.
don't know. You
Yeah.
might have to get some unsalted nuts and some salted nuts. Then you got two
Try
different
both.
SKUs for the same thing.
Well, it's like salted caramel, right? Salted
Yep.
caramel is really good, and so I think it would be similar with the honey.
Well, you also, I don't know if I should even say this. Well, yeah, why not? I don't think there's any. If not, cuss me out afterwards. It'll be fine.
I'll cuss you out now if it's not okay.
No, so we were just talking about it, and you're like, you may have found a use for your
Well, I was in general, like regardless of how you get it, I was wondering because these honey and nuts combo, it's a cinnamon. It's a really good cinnamon flavor, and it really works. And I was wondering if you, because at Christmas time I make caramels with my honey. I was wondering if you just cook that honey a little bit, caramelize it just a little bit, and then put that with the nuts. I wonder how that would work. I think I'm going to try that.
Thank you, Leroy. Yeah, so you think about it like melter honey, right? If it's not been like burnt to crap.
Yeah, I have actually produced some pretty nice caramelly melter honey in the past.
And then you throw some nice mixed nuts in there and fill it up with some melter honey.
Yeah.
Even if you're not selling it for as much as your other honey, now it's a value added product. You may be able to get more than you could out of just regular melter honey.
Sure. Just
so
break even on the nuts and make $2 a pound on the melter honey or whatever,
So that's
tricky though in the melter because it's hard to, it's not like you can just kind of dip your wooden spoon in it and taste it to see if it's ready, right? You can't do that. Right. You have to pour it out and then realize, that's too much.
That looks like 30 weight motor oil.
Yeah.
That's been used for 5,000 miles.
Yeah, it's like it tastes like charcoal. Oh well.
Well, you do kind of have to be able to see the nuts in the jar if it's too dark.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't want it dark. It wouldn't taste good if it was dark.
I've also been looking up just doing honey roasted peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
Just regular old honey roasted nuts. Might be good if it's not too big of a pain in the butt to do, right? If you got the stuff to do it. Because you got to kind of caramelize, like you said.
What the best way to do that would be.
And it's not much honey to a cup of nuts. It's like two teaspoons to a cup of nuts.
Yeah. For that kind of thing, it's nice, I think, to have an oven that, like a cement mixer oven.
Right. That'll just
keeps them moving. Yeah.
Mike, you look like you're going to fall asleep over there, buddy.
I can't offer much to these conversations. I don't make creamed honey. Well, I bought a creamer. I just don't have any honey to put in it this year.
That's the first step, my friend.
Oh, it's had a bad year. Down 75%.
I hear you.
Yeah, me too.
I hear you.
Actually, that means I'm plus 25%. I got 25% remaining. But hey, compared to a lot of people, that's really not that bad, So some people have lost way higher percentage. So I guess at this point, I feel blessed to have what I have, right? And we'll just do what we can do. Hey, and look at it this way. If there's a honey shortage, it means all the prices go up. If nobody can
Maybe.
get honey,
We
supply
need
and
to match.
demand.
We need to match the increase of the eggs going up, don't we?
Yep. That's for sure. I went into Food Lion the other day, and they had 18 eggs were $11.50. My sister sent me a message that same day. She's like, let's just get some more chickens. We'll just get some chickens, and then it'll be honey and eggs on the road. Bring your own pack. But the, it's, again,
Might be a good
every
time
year.
to get some chickens. Wouldn't it be a
Yeah,
good time to get some chickens?
it's about time. I think Tractor Supply might have them now. I just have to repair my coop on the fence so no raccoons get in there and bite all the heads off of them all and leave them there dead for me to pick up.
I saw on the news today they have this thing going now. Rent a chicken.
Rent a chicken.
Rent a chicken. You get the chicken and a little coop and everything. Rent a chicken. You can get the eggs from her.
God bless America.
Only in America.
Well,
That's
bless
it.
your heart.
Just charge people to say, hey, I live out here. I've got a chicken coop. And, they basically buy a chicken and you raise it and they're guaranteed a dozen eggs a week or something. Most people won't even come by every week to get them, right? Every time you come by, you'll get a dozen eggs. Well, they're only going to come by every couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. So that means you made 2 dozen eggs to their 1 dozen off the chickens.
I used to have chickens. I always joked about going to the feed store and buy feed and stop at the grocery store and pick up some eggs.
Yeah. That's about true. That's just like honey. My wife raises chickens and I could make money at $70 a dozen. Yep. Exactly. Yep. I ended up giving away, at one time I had so many eggs coming in here that I would have the little metal baskets that you go out and collect your eggs in. That thing would be full, and I'd have those commercial 30 egg things full on my counter. I ended up just giving them away because I couldn't get rid of them fast enough.
How many chickens do you have, Bob?
Like 20. I had like 20 chickens. But that's 20 eggs a day. I don't eat 20 eggs a day, And then tomorrow there'll be another 20 in there. It got to the point to where we were scrambling eggs to feed the dogs, right? It's like, it's protein. Feed the dogs the eggs. It was too many.
You just reminded me of something in my childhood when I was pre-teenager. Me and my mom went to my dad's sister's house, and these people, I'm country, but these people were more country. And they just lived with the doors wide open out in the middle of the woods. A field on one side and woods on the other side, and a pond right out the back door. But we were sitting in the house, and the chicken just walked in the kitchen door in the back of the house. And Mama got up and was going to run her out. Said, "Oh, Margaret, just leave her alone. She's coming in to lay an egg. Then we'll run her out."
You don't have to go get it.
That chicken went up in what they call the Great Hall. She went right up in that Great Hall and laid that egg and left.
It was home delivery.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She needed to train the other 30 to come up there and do that.
But yeah, it did get pretty expensive. You go buy that 50-pound bag of scratch, or it was constant.
Yeah.
Constant. And my wife is funny because she'll eat the eggs, but if it's like the pigs I had that we slaughtered, she wouldn't eat them. I ended up giving 450 pounds of pork away to people from the hogs that I slaughtered. Yeah. And
I wish I was Bob's neighbor.
Once they got it in there. Oh, one guy came and bought $60 worth of honey and left with 125 pounds or $125 worth of pork shoulders that I had and back bacon, you know. So it's crazy.
You been in the shop this week, Brad?
Yeah. Got in there a little bit after the convention. I took Sunday off. I had to recover a bit, but got back in there yesterday. Just tying up loose ends and getting the orders done.
Brad's got his week lined out already. He had it 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah. These orders are due at the end of the month, so I've had it lined up day by day. I've had to keep a pretty rigid schedule. Today was kind of a killer. I did a lot today. Worked outside a lot. I had to unload my sea can and grab some comb that was stashed in the back. So that was today.
You mean comb for like cut comb?
No, just comb. Just
Drawn comb.
drawn frames that a guy is buying.
And
360 frames of drawn comb.
then at some point you got to go to the dipper, and some point you got to go to the packer.
Yeah, gotta go to the dipper, gotta go to the packer. There's deliveries pending.
It's
just kind of, this business is running me off my feet. It just keeps pushing me.
Well, it's funny because on one hand we want to sell the honey, and on the other hand it's like, oh, but if I sell this honey, then I got to go back to the packer. I got to go get it packed. I got to bring it back. I got to put labels on it, and then I got to sell it all over again.
Well, yeah, I go to the packer and, I come home with a big load of honey and unload it and label all the jars and whatnot. And then it sits on the skid and, sits there for a while. And you think, oh, I've got honey for a long time. And then one day 4 stores call. And then once I'm done those deliveries, I'm looking at the skid thinking, oh, I need to go back to packer.
But I like your model. I wish I need to look more into it on what it takes to get into, like, and I'm not talking all the grocery stores, but if I could get in the 3 Food Lion stores that are right here by my house.
Your local
just where
stores.
I could make a little triangle run and come back, and they would know, hey, this is raised right here in your town. Then I think that'd be all right. Of course, I wonder how some of the people that have it in the store, what do they do when they go to the store and the jars, because they keep those stores kind of cool. When that jar crystallizes, do you just, next time you go in, do you just swap them out and bring them back to your warmer and put them back in your warmer and then cycle them back in?
Yeah, I don't take back too many, but yeah, that's exactly what I do. I'll just pull them back and replace the jars on the shelf. Yeah, I don't, I might pull a dozen jars a year, maybe 2 dozen. Yeah, not much at all. It just moves. I try to keep, when I liquefy the honey, I try to keep just ahead. I'll only have a couple boxes of ready to go because I don't want it sitting around here too long. Winter is good because I'll liquefy it and I stick it in the truck and it'll sit there at, some ungodly cold temperature, and that just completely stops crystallization.
Well, will it? I mean, and you do a lot of creamed honey, which once it's creamed, you don't have to worry about crystallization because you've already crystallized it.
Right. You worry about the opposite. You worry about it being stored too warm. So I have to make sure it stays in a cool or an air-conditioned environment. But yeah, I love the creamed honey because I can just pick boxes of creamed honey right in the truck. Liquid is a bit of a pain. Yeah, it's a good model, and I'll tell you, probably the thing that stops, or the thing that people would hesitate the most on it is selling to the store. And I've found that most stores are more than happy to have you come in, right? you go in and you find somebody who works at the store and you say, you know, can I talk to the person who does the buying for the store, whether it's a buyer or a manager, and oh yeah, no problem. In a couple of minutes, you're talking to the person you need to talk to, and it is not a hard sell. The people are really good, and they're pretty excited about having a local product in their store. You know, I was really surprised when I started doing it. I just kind of, you know, cold call my very first store and go in. Can I talk to somebody? Please take my honey. You know, and it's yeah, okay. How many boxes you got? Bring them all in. You know, it's really. And yeah, if you own a store, you better have honey in the truck because
The biggest, well, and you and I have talked about this as well. It's not necessarily a drawback, but you're not getting paid the day you drop it off. Like if they come and buy it at your house, right? It's 30
typically,
days.
well, typically not. I don't know. I think a lot of stores work on 30-day terms, which is fine. You know, gives them time to sell some of it before they have to pay for it.
Right.
My two pay me up front.
Do they? Some of my stores do too.
Well, I take that back. One of them, he don't pay me at all anymore. Just run a credit at the store.
Oh,
So you
I see.
go
I
to
see.
him grocery shopping then.
So that's
Yeah.
your normal store. Yeah,
But the other one, the one right here next to the house, they pay me up front.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have one store. If the owner is there when I go, he insists on writing me a check. I have stores that they'll send me a check within days. Um, most of my stores will take 30 or 40 days sometimes, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Need the money in 40 days too.
Need the
What's
money in
good
40
about-
days.
I guess it's because he's my son, but what's good about the one that runs the credit? He does a printout for me at the end of every year. Shows how much I made from him. And I put that in with my tax records. Works good.
Well, I sell honey into my regular grocery store too, but I definitely have a trade deficit with that guy. I buy way more groceries than he buys from me, but you know,
Highland Honey says his works on a 30-day, but they usually pay him within a week.
yeah. And I think different areas, different countries for sure, may have different customs that way. I didn't have to say I would give 30-day terms. It's just sort of the custom here, I think. So I have no problem with that. I kind of like it because I forget about it, and then it's suddenly money shows up in my bank account or
Yeah.
a check shows up in the mailbox or something.
Like finding money in the coat pocket.
Exactly. You know, if I'm worried about it, I can always go and look. I can look in my POS and I can see all of my outstanding invoices. I can see the total. So that's my income for the next 30 days, right? So that's
Right.
kind of nice.
You can count your chickens before they hatch.
I can count my chickens, well, after they hatch, I guess.
For me, it'd be my luck that I get all my honey put into stores, and then that chain goes bankrupt, and then
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful about that.
that'd be my luck.
Make sure they're good with terms.
Only do a couple cases at a time.
And you know, you mentioned that, you know, bee supply too. You know, I didn't always have terms of bee supply, but you deal with them for a couple of years and always pay up front, always pay your bill on time and all kinds of stuff, and then they'll start to slide you some terms.
Right.
And so it helps there too because, you know, I can buy, for example, I can buy my jars on 30 days, fill them, my packer give me 30 days, and then get them to the store, and they take 30 days. So everybody's getting paid 30 days late.
Hmm.
So it just really helps. And then you can itemize your invoices and just watch that you don't start getting late on your bills.
Do any of you guys trap pollen? I know DC is, but
I don't. Never have.
I'd rather have it owed to me than beat out of it. Beat out of it. Yeah.
Beat out if it.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
that's the thing for sure. Is I don't mind, but it doesn't take me but one time to get burned on something, and I get gun shy. It's like I'm not a big business.
Oh
so
yeah.
I
Yeah,
rely
I'm
on this.
very easy to deal with, but if you want to be that deciding factor, you can change that policy in an instant. If you're the deciding factor, you want to make everybody in the future pay up front for their stuff, then go ahead.
Well, guys, we've been going 2 hours, and I try to hold this down to 2 hours. And hopefully, as the bee season progresses, maybe it'll get a little more interactive on things that are happening in the yards. Because I think right now, Joey and I are the only two that actually has something happening in our yards too much. And
Be a month for me.
I'm a little bit behind Joey. So if Joey's making splits on the 1st, it'll probably be around the middle of March for me, where we start getting things going.
Be the end of April for me.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you, buddy. Keeping the lights on around here. $1.99 at a time. I appreciate you. All right, guys. Well, we will see you. Joey will see you on Saturday evening unless something's changed. And
let something change.
we got Charlie Friday night. And we'll be back again next Tuesday. And maybe if things work out, eventually Brad and I will have our little video breakdown session we've been talking about.
Yeah.
One afternoon. But, the man's busy. It's winter. He's got everything to do right now.
Yeah, it's pretty busy time. It's crazy.
I'm the one that's got bees working right now, and I've got more free time than Brad does.
Y'all hadn't done a Sunday lately, have you?
No, not well. Last Sunday, Brad was at the meeting, and no, we haven't done it in a few Sundays. This past Sunday, I didn't know that Tim and Hannah weren't going live until it was late, and then it was like, well, we'll guess be talk free to this Sunday. But at any rate, everybody, I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody. Robert, thanks for the super chats. I appreciate you, bud. And
thanks for hosting, Bob.
We'll see you on the next
Everyone.
stream. Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.